Welcome to those who have just arrived to the Invention Bootcamp finale. At this moment, we would ask for you to please mute your microphone.
Can you hear it in your ear? Yes.
All right. This is gonna be a fun day. We got some presentations from our students. We got some slideshows. It's gonna be an awesome experience. I'm glad to have you all here today. I hope you're glad to be here today. We'll have a slideshow for everyone to view while we wait to get started. So here we go. Let's see if I do this right. I have too many windows open up right now, like pop-ups from everyone joining. Okay, let's see here. Okay, that should do it. There we go. The Invention Bootcamp. Welcome to the finale. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Just a few reminders. In addition to that mute button, there are other buttons that can let you show your love and appreciation for everybody in this room and the hard work that they did. You can give people a clap. You can give people a thumbs up. You can type into the chat. Yeah, we need that. Everybody needs that. It's, you know, it's that feedback that we know and love. Things are different, but it doesn't mean that they have to be that different. So practice finding those buttons. If you have questions, you can ask questions. We'll also have presentations from our students. And during those presentations, they will tell you all about their projects, but they will also give you time to ask questions. And we will take a few questions from from our guests at that time. And Tyler will be taking care of that. Yeah. Well, everyone's doing high fives. Look at that. Does anyone have any preliminary questions?
If you're just joining us, we just put the program for today in the chat. So you can check that out, and we'll begin in a few minutes. We'll give everybody a few minutes to arrive. Welcome.
Also, for the students and the mentors, see if you can find the Easter eggs in the slideshow. Put it in the chat if you think you've spotted it. Give a thumbs up if you think you saw it. It'll be fun. Oh, Mercedes saw an Easter egg. Sydney, Sydney saw an Easter egg. Tien saw an Easter egg. Okay. All right, yeah, more people is Tyler, Lorena. So another oh, sorry.
Shout out to Davis Zarfas, a past mentor here in the audience. Hey, Davis.
Rob Turkey's here too.
Rob Turk is here. Oh my gosh, welcome you guys.
Natalie Frank from last year's here too.
Oh snap! Hi Natalie.
Oh my God, is Natalie here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey. Welcome. Awesome. So I'm putting the program in the chat for anyone who's just joining us.
Yes, and for those of you just joining us, remember, please mute your microphones, and you have the ability to give reactions such as thumbs up, clap, and you can also leave messages in the chat. This is just so that we reduce the amount of random noise in Zoom. I'm sure you've all been there. Someone's having a presentation or you're in a meeting and then you hear sirens or an alarm or, I don't know, the refrigerator going off or something. So we just want to keep that to a minimum. And oh wow, look, they got blue shells over their head. What's that about? Look, Brayden has a blue shell in his hand. What's going on?
Mike, what were the meaning behind the Easter eggs?
So for those just joining or just catching on, so part of the Invention Bootcamp is in its name, inventing. But the other part of it is just getting to know one another, getting to bond with one another, and one of the favorite activities of some of the campers and mentors is racing against one another in Mario Kart on the Nintendo Switch. And there were some very intense moments. There were tears. There was joy. There was frustration. There, all of the emotions. But it was our way of bonding, and it was also one of my favorite parts of the Invention Bootcamp, just playing Mario Kart with you all and having a new challenge. Shout out to the Green Shell gang uh, for all of those wonderful moments of thinking you're in first place, but a shell has something else for you. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah.
Hey,
Uh,
Mike, can you restart the slideshow for us?
sure. Oh, did it
Thanks.
stop? Oh
Yeah.
no. Okay. Here we go. Restart. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Kavi. You see that teamwork there. We look out for one another. We look out for one another. Invention Bootcamp. So in about 3 minutes, we will get started with the program. In the meantime, in the chat, just to see if it works and that you get used to it, I would like for everybody to look out your window or look out your door and type one of the things that you see into the chat. I also stole that from one of our presenters. Shout out to, that was Abby that did that, right?
Abby Croman.
Yes. We can tell that we are in Oregon with all the trees. Oh, we got a turtle, a bird. Oh, neighbor mowing their lawn. Cloudy sky, umbrella, some hills. When I look out my window, I see the blinds. I have them closed, otherwise there'll just be too much light and heat in my apartment.
So if you're just joining us, welcome to the Invention Bootcamp finale. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to put the today's program in the chat for everyone. If you'd like to see it, it's also available on our social media. Oh.
There we go. The link was just posted. And as Kavi said, it's also available on our social media. And also in the chat, folks are sharing what they see when they look outside their window. We saw a lot of trees and a few animals. That's exciting. Oh, and one neighbor mowing the lawn, which might cause some audio issues.
So we're almost ready to get started. Just going to let more people trickle in for about another minute, and then we will get on our way. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us. Remember, if you haven't muted your microphone, please go ahead and do so. You also have the reactions of thumbs up, clap, or you can type into the chat. Kavi gave me a signal, I think. Oh, so we're ready?
I believe so.
Okay, here we go. Once again, I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2020 Invention Bootcamp finale. This will be an exciting day. I'm glad that you all can be here. We're going to see some wonderful projects and we're going to hear from some wonderful people. The first person that I would like to introduce is Dr. Jim Hook, Associate Dean of the Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science and Principal Investigator on the Invention Bootcamp program. Let's give Dr. Jim Hook a round of applause. Those smiley faces, thumbs up, the claps, all of those. Take it away.
Okay, thank you, Mike. It's a real honor to be here. Welcome to the Invention Bootcamp 2020 finale. As Mike said, I'm Jim Hook, Associate Dean of the College of Engineering and Computer Science at Portland State University. This is the first virtual finale of the first virtual Invention Bootcamp, and it's happening at an unprecedented time in world history. Communities across the globe are dealing with a common threat, the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic is forcing the world to rethink how we do things so that we can protect community health as we continue our essential activities. This crisis gives a sense of urgency to finding and celebrating inventors in every community across the globe. It also underscores the importance of representing all communities in invention. The most effective way to protect every community is to have inventors in every community and sharing every significant life experience. Invention Bootcamp was conceived of as an introduction to invention for high school students in a collegiate setting. It's part of a portfolio of invention-focused activities supported by the Lemelson Foundation. The Lemelson Foundation believes that lives and communities are enhanced, are enriched by invention. This camp almost didn't happen. When it became clear that Invention Bootcamp 2020 could not be like the Invention Bootcamps in the past, we had a meeting to figure out what we're going to do this year. At the time, I think we thought of the pandemic as a temporary disruption that was going to affect things for a few months, but then we might get over. But when we met and started looking at where we were and why we do things, we realized that it was really more important than ever to focus on broadening the communities who participate in invention. And so we elected to go forward, even with the challenge of having to reinvent Invention Bootcamp. I want to thank my colleague, Dr. Gerry Recktenwald, who many of you have gotten to know, for making this transition from an in-person experience to a virtual experience. It's hard to overstate just how much work that was. He devoted April, May, and part of June to redesigning this experience, preserving the initial elements. This led to many discussions of what the essential elements are, and required a great deal of creativity. I also want to thank Kavi Diaz and Helen Fry and the great team of mentors for supporting this radical change. It's challenging to do Invention Bootcamp when you have past history and a year of planning time. It's completely unprecedented to do Invention Bootcamp with like everything changing a week before it starts. But we did it, and Kavi did it with a smile at times of great difficulty. So that's really important. Of course, we want to thank the Lemelson Foundation for their vision in invention and their support of this project.
Texas
And,
yours.
and we want to thank Pacific Power for their financial support of the project. But most importantly,
Can't get
we-
onto them work.
we want to thank the inventors, the students, and their families for engaging in this experiment with us and for forming relationships and teams that we hope will change their lives. Our goal here is to introduce new people to the idea that they can invent the future, that they can solve the problems of importance in their community. COVID-19 presented us with a problem, and we've all rolled up our sleeves to solve it. And I'm really excited to hear some of the solutions to some of the problems that are inspired by this crisis that the students, that the next generation of inventors are going to share with us today. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the day.
Awesome. Let's get those round of applause, those claps, smiley faces. Shout outs in the chat for Dr. Jim Hook. Thank you very much. And I really like what you said about reinventing Invention Bootcamp. There was a lot of reinventing happening. Now we're going to hear from Dr. Gerry Recktenwald, Associate Professor in the Department of Mechanical and Material Engineering in the Massey College and Invention Bootcamp Director, our hero, our guide, our flashlight in the dark. Let's hear it for Gerry.
Thank you all. Thanks, Mike. As you can tell, we function in a very supportive and wonderful community. I just want to make a few comments to introduce what you're going to see. Really why you came here is to see these inventions, and I don't want to delay that other than to say these inventions were motivated by our camp theme, which was living in COVID times. As Jim said, we had to make a decision to go ahead with the camp or not. And we had plans from last fall of a camp theme, and I had been working with a potential industrial sponsor for that theme. And then, as we all know, everything changed. And so our response was to use that threat, the health threat and the disruption, as a source of our creativity, or a motivation anyway for our creativity and invention. We used the human-centered design process, which I won't explain today other than to say it focuses on human beings, and we tried to say, what could we do? What could we either create that's new? How could we recreate something that needs to be fixed that would help us? The results that you're seeing are the students' ideas. We taught for the first couple of weeks, we focused on skills like programming and the design process, how to make prototypes. But the result of that was then a collective brainstorming activity over several days that led to the choice of these projects. The mentors are crucial to this. They provided encouragement, technical support, and guidance, and really created the opportunity for these inventions to be realized. And I do want to focus, you see here the list of projects that we'll get to in just a second. I do want to really emphasize that this was all done virtually. This is a hands-on camp that we did without joining hands, literally. Students formed groups with people they hadn't met before. No one practically knew each other. We produced physical prototypes, you'll see, working physical prototypes together without ever actually meeting in person. So the projects will appear in the order here, which was somewhat arbitrary. Mike is our MC, and the mentors will also introduce our team. So let's show what we got.
All right, so here we go. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. Just a reminder, remember to mute yourselves during the presentation. If you don't, one of the mentors will mute you. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and a few of those questions will be selected to answer. So also at the end of the presentation, you can go unmuted to give your vocal energy towards the group and their achievements. Is everybody ready? I guess so. We're all here. We're all ready to go. Okay, so without further ado, let's hear from our first group, and that will be Team Bandico. Why don't you join us?
Hello, hi. Thank you for being here, everybody. I'm Tyler, the mentor for Group Bandico, and if you'll just give me a second. So for our group, we have Jules, Max, and Delora, and they're going to present our project.
So the project that we decided to make is a headband that's equipped with a heat sensor and distance sensor, and it lets people stay safe whenever they're around others. The distance sensors detect the 6 feet social distancing rule, while the temperature sensor detects whether or not the user has a fever.
Bandico is for people who cannot self-quarantine and need to go out in public often, like going to the grocery store or a job, and are at a higher risk for contacting COVID-19 and spreading it to others. The purpose of the Bandico is to help slow the spread of COVID-19 by protecting the wearer and those around them.
In the beginning, we knew we wanted to do a product that had to do with health. So we came up with a bunch of different ideas like no-touch hand sanitizer dispensers and more comfortable masks. However, we changed that idea to our current one after a lot of thinking. We came up with some early prototypes to just see how our product would look like. And on the next slide, we have our finished prototypes, which actually have all the functionality that we planned on.
Now, the heat sensor, as I mentioned before, it detects whether or not the user has a fever, and it alerts the others and the user that this person is actually having a fever. We placed the heat sensor under the headband at the front, and some challenges that we had with this heat sensor was that we got the wrong numbers, we had code that wasn't working, the wires were all over the place, so we had to put the wires in the correct locations, make sure the wires weren't all over the place, and test every single code that's been added.
The distance sensor is used to check if someone's too close to another person and then alert them. Our group used both a laser sensor and a sound sensor. Some challenges we faced when using the distance sensor was that we needed to download Arduino IDE to access a certain library to use the laser distance sensor. Chromebooks can't download Arduino IDE, and some of our group members use Chromebooks. So some of our group members had to use a different sensor, which was a sound sensor, which made collaborating on our code harder.
For our second prototype, we would like to improve the build quality so that it'd be more durable and to make it waterproof so it could be wearable when it's raining. We also like to add more distance sensors so that way the product could be able to sense on the sides and behind it and not just in front. We also like to organize our code better so everything would run more smoothly.
In the end, we accomplished our goals. We put in all of our planned features. They all worked. It detects the person's temperature and it detects the distance from objects, and it notifies people and the person that the person is running a fever or if they're getting too close. So what we had to do is that we had to learn how to build this device correctly. We had to learn how to wire the components together and brainstorm ideas. And the next slide, we will be showing a demonstration of this project. So are there any questions with our project?
We can take questions now, and I'll be monitoring questions in the chat. So if you feel more comfortable posting them in the chat, I'll ask them for you. So we have B. Anderson. She posted in the chat, how did it feel to work in a group? And I'm assuming she means in a virtual environment.
At first, I guess we had to break some we were pretty shy at first until some of us started joking around or started mentioning stuff about the projects that we were going to come up with, and from there we just started talking more and more.
In the chat we have Rob Turk, and he's asking for the link for the video. Elora, is that possible to drop the link in the chat?
I think so. It'll take a second though.
Yeah, sure. While we're waiting for her to grab that, James Hook, sorry for my dogs in the background. James Hook, does the distance sensor measure distance to people or any?
Does the distance sensor measure distance to people or to any object?
Thank you.
It measures distance to anything, like any object. Yeah.
From Sai, how precise were the readings for the distance sensor?
They're pretty precise.
Yeah, I think we could get it down to the centimeter, actually, decimals of the centimeter, especially with the laser sensor. We have Eden. How long do you think it took to make it work?
It took a while to in the beginning because we had a lot of trouble with just making the sensors work, and we had to do a lot of troubleshooting to get everything working.
So we have Therese Bell, and I'm getting an indicator from Mike. We don't have much time for questions. So what temperature did you all set the heat sensor to detect?
About 100 degrees Fahrenheit. When we did it in Celsius, so it was 36.7 degrees.
And then from Jason Chadwick, what were some of the first prototypes?
The first prototypes, we thought of a headband at first just to wrap around. Before that, we thought of a hat to put on. And that was pretty much it, I think, other than those two.
Mike, we have time for a few more. One more. I think I see Radhik Nagabuthu. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Does the distance sensor read objects from the front or sideways also?
No, it only reads objects from directly in front of it.
And are you guys interested in perfecting or improving this invention?
that was your one question.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
There's so much. I love the enthusiasm for the questions, and I love the excitement that you all are having to answer them. But we gotta get this show moving. Everybody, give your audible and digital applauses and cheers for Team Bandico. Awesome, awesome. Great work, you all.
Super!
Yeah, good job, Bandico!
Well done.
Awesome, awesome. Next up, we have Team Manticore. Let's hear from Team Manticore.
Yay!
Hello.
Woo!
My name is Whitman, and I'm the mentor for Team Manticore. And I would like everybody to gear up for an amazing presentation from an amazing group of campers who I've really enjoyed working with. Thank you so much. And take it away.
All right, so this thing that we have created the ultimate cardboard snack deliberator of motivation, Manticore style, right? So this thing that we made has focused on the idea of education within this whole thing we got going. So this is what we're working off of. This is our persona. This is Ozzy. Okay, he's a 4th grade student and he has ADD. So that means that he struggles with being productive in school, finding a way to pay attention. And get this, COVID happens, so now he has to do things online. So that made it pretty problematic. So next slide. Our solution was that we have crafted a device that uses snacks as a reward for work and progress as a motivational tool, right? So receiving a reward for doing work will help Ozzy stay on track. Also, who doesn't like food? I pass the mic to Tian.
All right, so after we had decided to make a dispenser, we looked up pictures of just all kinds of dispensers, put them on a Google Doc, and then filtered them out for like which ones we thought would be most reasonable to make. After that, we brainstormed the actual dispensing part, so how the mechanic would work, how it would be shaped and everything. Next slide, please. And so here are what we worked with. We decided to make like the little windmill shaped design so that it would turn back and forth, and that would drop the snack of choice. All right, and now it's Eric's turn to talk.
Yeah, I was taking a sweet time. These are the early prototypes of the ultimate cardboard snack deliberator of motivation. It is just a cardboard box with the windmill at this point. And it's just, well, the candy or whatever motivation tool is just going to fall through the chute and it's just going to be distributed down later. Next slide. The code for this is just to hold the button and the windmill moves. But like this code isn't that great because why would you want to hold the button when you could just snap your fingers? Next slide. The final code has like every snap or every loud noise, you get 2 lights, and then once all 10 lights are on, the windmill thing turns 90 degrees and it dispenses your object, and you'll see it in action on the next slide. I didn't have anything better to dispense.
That was awesome, guys. Does anybody have any questions?
Can I see the video one more time?
Absolutely.
We can still take questions while we show the video again. Anybody have questions for the team?
We're getting a lot of M&M and snack comments.
Braden Audio asks, have you thought about how you would go, how often Ozzy gets snacks?
For some reason, I'm seeing a blocked partially the screen.
Yes, so just to repeat the question. Braden Audio, have you thought about how you would get, how you would control how often you would get the Ozzy snacks?
It's controlled by the person. So like after 5 set tasks and like you do like the snap, because the idea is that you, I don't know, solve a problem and then you snap, then you get like +2 to the light meter or whatever, and then once you get 5, you get like an M&M or something.
Awesome.
So, exactly.
So we have from Rob Turk, which candy snack works best in the machine?
So we all sort of made a different variation of this machine, but technically it could work for basically any like generally small size snack. So I used M&Ms. I think Tyler used Sour Patch Kids or Jolly Ranchers. So anything around that size.
From Natalie Frank, she says, this is so creative. What was your favorite part about building this?
I think like making the actual physical design was really fun.
From James Hook, could you describe a little more about the context of how this relates to keeping focus while studying or working?
Well, it's the idea that you get a reward for doing good with what you're doing. So it would motivate you in the way that like, oh, I know that I can get this reward. I can receive that psychological satisfaction of getting a reward, right? For doing good in school. So I should do good in school then, you know? So it's that sort of principle.
Awesome. From Bianca Kachamp, did you encounter any issues with your servo while testing different size snacks?
Yes, mostly with jamming, and well, even in the demonstration video, the die didn't fit properly that well.
Awesome. And then how did you overcome those challenges?
For me, I changed the size of my windmill dispenser a lot. So before it was longer, so it was more unsteady, but I made mine a little more wider and shorter, which helped a lot.
I had to redo the entire thing. It was way too ambitious with how much being for a couple of times, and I kept getting measurements wrong.
Mike, how are we doing on time? Got 2 more questions?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, all right. If you guys keep on posting questions in the chat, I think I saw one from Sai. He's wondering, did you think about a way where you could use the left or right buttons to increase or decrease the number of snaps needed to get your reward?
Not the thing that we did with the buttons, where originally the buttons could move the windmill so they can move back and forth for snacks, but we did not think of an idea to make it change the value of lights.
I see from James Hook, it's very exciting to hear how you learn from each of the different prototypes. Can you talk about how you transferred ideas across the group?
This will be the last question.
We were just kind of building off of relative ideas, like how we started with the sort of mechanism. That's something that really got passed around a lot, with it being kind of like a windmill. So yeah, it was just a lot of the mechanism that we shared a lot of similarities on.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, let's hear it for Team Manticore. Give them those digital and audible praises.
Well done.
Yeah. Woo.
Woo!
Woo. Good job. Woo.
Woo! Good job.
Great job.
Awesome.
Oh, you're such a great audience. Next up, we are going to hear from Team Indicator. Let's hear it for Team Indicator.
Hello, my name is Sydney, and I was the mentor for B and Lorena's group. I'm going to go ahead and queue up their presentation here, and I'm going to give the mic over to them.
Hello, I'm B, and we found a problem was a lack of scheduling and organization with others in shared housing / living areas. And you can see that in the meme below.
The solution that we found is creating a device that can switch to indicate whether you're free or busy. When free, it lights up green and it shows the text free. When busy, the timer can be incremented by 10 minutes per push of a button and it reads busy.
At the top, you can see our very basic kind of sketch that knew we were going to do. So we're going to have some type of user input, whether it be a sound, a switch, a button, a key, temperature sensor, really anything, which would then go to a circuit playground, which you can see on the bottom right. And then that would go to a display, whether it be an OLED display, which you can also see on the bottom right as the rectangle, or a 14 segment display. However, we chose the OLED display. Our original design, you can see on the left, it was to have a shelf to mount to a wall or door, connecting a computer to the circuit playground with a very long micro USB, and connecting the circuit playground and a 14 segment display with an alligator clip. However, we kind of changed our design. Our requirements are, we'll have a difference between busy and free indicators. We'll have the capability of setting a timer. Accessible to change the functionality of the buttons through a computer, just so that you can change it from like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, what have you. We'll use button to add time to timer. We'll use switch to determine when free and when busy, as well as using the NeoPixels to indicate free or busy with set times.
Lorena, you're muted. Oops, sorry. Original stretch goals were for our final invention to use sound sensor, use different colors to indicate different messages, use display to show text, being visually appealing and easy to mount on wall, door, or any surface. And what we have accomplished, as you can see, that's my, on the bottom on the picture is my final design. What we have accomplished is using different colors to indicate different messages, using display to show text based off switch position, and being visually appealing. And the next slide is going to be B's final working design. And as you can see, she's pressing the button and the text is saying busy. Each light is incrementing on while she's pressing the button, and as the lights are going down, that means the time is going down. You can change in the code to 10 minutes. Right now, she switched the switch and all the lights are green, and it's showing people or family that you're free. And now she's giving the same example that you can choose how many minutes you're going to be busy for. And you can change that in the code to 10 minutes per light. Any questions?
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute your mic and ask the group, or post it in the chat and I'll read it out loud to everybody.
So it seems like it's a good indicator for in-person activities. How is this useful for virtual collaboration?
It can also hang in the background of, say, a Zoom meeting. I can hang it up there and my friends can know, or my colleagues can know, if I am on break and I happen to have my computer on, maybe, or if I'm willing to work on this project versus a different project. So I could put free if I wanted to work with my colleagues on this particular project, and I would flip it to busy if I was grabbing materials or things like that.
We have a question from Eden in the chat. If you had more materials, what would be more than just pressing a button to let someone know that you're busy? Maybe what would you use?
We'll probably make it bigger so we can put it in the wall and an actual like big sign. And we'll probably make it so we can connect to directly to our laptop, so we can press a button or key on our keyboard and we can just switch from free to busy from our laptop while we're working or doing homework.
Another thing we thought about if we had more time and more materials was a sound sensor, so we could just snap or clap and it would turn from one to the other, or having it directly connected to your computer. So if you typed in on the serial monitor, if you typed in a certain word, it would display that. So you didn't have to just have free or busy. You could put, you know, on break or snack time or something like that, or a certain project.
Oh, that's awesome. We have from Bianca. Did you happen to do any user testing with your families or friends? And if so, what feedback did they give?
Not really. We kind of been perfecting it. We've had a little bit of trouble with the battery pack and the code. And it's fine to work. It's just we also have a little trouble mounting it to the wall currently, which is another thing we do if we had more time. Or if we had, you know, version 2.0.
Definitely. In the chat from James, this is a responsive to a challenge that many students, teachers, and professionals are having right now, including myself as my grandfather just walked in. Can you discuss how you arrived at this in the human sense?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of us, I know Sydney has definitely on multiple occasions talked to us about how her partner walks in and goes, "Oh, are you muted?" And she happens to not be muted, and it's like, "Oh, well, now my entire conference call just heard you say, 'Oh, are you muted?'" or things like that. And so we were like, "Oh, well, we could make something where we didn't have to put something on a Google Calendar or a physical planner or something. We could literally just stick it outside on our door and go over and switch it on and off so that people would know, like, oh, she's busy right now. Oh, they're busy right now. I'll come back later. And, you know, based on how many buttons, I'll come back in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatnot." So they didn't have to barge in and just go, you know, "Are you muted? Do you want lunch?" Things like that.
I think it's a really creative design. In the chat we have from Sai, how heavy is it? And could you hang it up with just a push pin?
It's not heavy at all. It's not at all. You can probably just, I was thinking, my first original idea was to actually just use double-sided tape because it's so light. But so it's easier for us. We were thinking about making an actual, like, to mount it on a, like, door or wall or something. But that would be really a part of the project. That would be really easy to do. It's just to be more customizable.
Yeah, it's incredibly light. It would be really easy to just stick a sticky pad onto it and just stick it onto a wall. It won't fall down.
Awesome. Yeah. I assume each of you have your own separate design. Is it at hand? Are you able to hold it up to the camera so we can see it?
Yeah, mine's right here. It's not fully done because I've been taking it apart and doing the wires a little bit, but this is my OLED display. It's not connected right now. And my circuit playground, and mine's just a simple box that you can put like sticky pads right here and just stick it to a wall or something.
Awesome. I think that's all we have time for, though. I'm gonna give the mic to Mike.
Yes, thank you for giving the mic to Mike. Let's hear it for Team Indicator. Give those digital and audio praises. Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah.
I want one.
Awesome. This is all really wonderful. I love it. And we're going to hear from another group. Well, there's a timer. We're going to hear from another group, and that will be Team Pomodoro. Let's hear it for Team Pomodoro. We also have someone who's putting a price on the device in the chat. Let's hear it for Team Pomodoro.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mike, for the introduction. My name is Noemi. I am the mentor for Team Pomodoro, who consists of Aurea and Susan, and I will hand the mic over to them.
Two-person team.
Okay, so Pomodoro, which is tomato in Italian, is the time management method devised by Francisco Cirillo. It consists of 25-minute working to 5-minute break intervals, perfect for keeping track of breaks during COVID times where school and work are virtual. He used tomato timer, but we used coding and engineering to create a digital one.
Our timer is based on the Pomodoro technique and is meant to help a high schooler manage their time online learning so they can stay healthy and engaged. Our biggest coding challenge was our final coding challenge. Our code for counting down time and our code for displaying messages on a small screen worked when they were separate from each other, but they didn't work together. It was frustrating to know that this was the last bug we had to fix before the Pomodoro would function perfectly. After a lot of investigation, we figured out how to get it to work.
So Sketch 1 was our initial idea as it was simple and allowed for us to test the functionality of the technology without all the distractions of the design. Sketch 2 was where we upped the complexity of the design with the circular shape that allowed for the wiring to be a bit more discrete. So here's the process that we went through with the prototypes. Like every design, there was always something that could be improved. Yeah, so any questions?
Thank you. Wow, what a great presentation. Loved it. I really need one. I think it'd keep me on track and more productive. Again, if anybody has questions, I think I see one from Braden. Is this something you've both already used? And do you think that other students would benefit from this style of time management?
I don't know about Aurea, but I do use this for school because I'm the type of person who either like goes all in or doesn't do it at all. So like I'd find myself like working for hours on end and then feel very tired and not want to do it. So I was researching and found this method, and I felt that it was right to share because I don't think a lot of people use it.
I'm the same way. I spend a lot of time sitting at my computer, and then after I feel like I've done a lot of work, but then I look back and I feel like I've just been sitting at my computer for a really long time, and I haven't done that much work because I wasn't too concentrated. So I try to take breaks often, so I can walk around. It's better for my body and for my eyes to not be sitting at a computer for a really long time.
Yeah, that's a great point. In the chat, Mercedes, she's asking if you had more time, how would you improve this in the future, like version 2.0?
I think I would probably I think during the working session, it would be great to have like how many minutes are left or some type of display, because right now the screen is empty. So I guess during working time, they would probably be like, oh, you have like 5 minutes left. Then during break time, it'd be like, oh, you have like X amount of minutes left before you have to start working again.
Maybe a question for myself. Do you think it would be possible to implement one of the button features to, like, say you're in a state of flow and you're doing a lot of work and you feel really productive and you're not ready for a break? Do you think you could add more time? Or I saw the pausing feature. What do you guys think?
I guess you could, but obviously the Pomodoro method was designed for things like that not to happen in a way, because like, yeah, you're like, I guess you get in a flow, but then you kind of wear yourself out. So I think that while it is possible, it probably wouldn't be the best.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know much about the Pomodoro effect or why it's so effective. I'll leave that to you guys, the experts. A question in the chat from Steve. Does it go by the actual time or by X number of minutes? And then how did you resolve your problem with the code?
Okay, so this kind of goes into the technical details. I didn't include all this in the presentation because some people get bored. So there's a function called millis, and it takes the time since the circuit playground was started. So we basically had to make two variables, one for the time elapsed before the current work or break section started, and also take millis as the current time. And then you subtract that and you get that's the time that you have been working or breaking so far. And as to the problem with the OLED screen that I was talking about, so it was kind of a Chromebook problem. We were using CodeBender on Chromebooks to run the code, but apparently that didn't work. But it worked with Arduino IDE, but that's not available on Chromebooks.
Awesome. We have a question from James. He really likes this idea. It's wonderful to promote personal health as we experience isolation in pursuit of community health. How did you select this problem / solution in the early stages of your invention process?
Personally, it's a problem that I had. So I guess I assume like obviously a lot of other people would have this problem. So I think I selected this problem a bit for like my like kind of selfish reasons, but yeah.
Awesome. That was all the questions in the chat. If you have any last minute questions, I think we have a few more minutes. And feel free to unmute your mic and ask the students yourself or post them in the chat. I saw a lot of great compliments on your design of the presentation. Mercedes?
I was wondering how you guys picked the colors, or if there was any inspiration behind that.
Oh, I just went into Slides Carnival and I found, I just browsed themes. I looked in the red themes and I think it just suggested this one to me. So I thought, oh, it kind of fits. So I chose it.
So for the OLED, is it possible to program colors for that display as well?
I think our display, the one that we had, is there's only two colors. It's yellow and blue. But with other ones, yeah, I think that is possible. And I think there's white too.
All right, that's going to be our last question for Team Pomodoro. Let's give them a round of applause. The audible digital praise. Let's hear it for them. Hey!
Hey, thank you.
Great job.
All right. Also, I think every engineering student, computer science major needs one of those, because if you work too long without a break, it just fries your brain. Next up, let's hear it for Emotimask. Let's give it up for Team Emotimask. I was also on that team. I helped out a little bit. All right, let's hear it from them. Yay!
Hi, everybody. My name is Mercedes, and I was one of the mentors for Team Emotimask. Mike also helped out with us. And our team members consisted of Kyle and Eden, and I'm going to let them take over.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and this is Team Emotimask in our project. So this is our team members, Eden, me, Mercedes, and Mike. So what seems to be the problem? Why are we here? Why are we doing this? So each and every day, as you can tell, we are in a global pandemic where people are becoming more accustomed to the idea of wearing a mask. Masks are one of the underlying social problems in this pandemic, due largely because you have to wear one in order to keep yourself safe from other people around you in places such as, stores, restaurants, and a few other places and stuff, especially when you go out to the public. A few issues with masks is that they aren't very stylish or comfortable. And the biggest issue for personally myself and maybe a few others out there is that they don't depict emotions very easily, which makes wearing them quite a hassle. So our hope for this project was to implement a way for people to not only convey and display emotions more easily, but also to have a more comfortable and stylish mask. So these are kind of current solutions as of right now, which are printing faces and emotions onto a mask. And that seems to work for some, but you can't really switch up your emotions and you're just kind of stuck on that one. So next we go to Eden with the design process.
I am Eden, hi. Anyways, the design process for the basic requirements. We've made masks to protect the users from COVID-19 and encourage them to have safe social interaction and to promote a comfortable and fashionable option, which like instead of using a printable face on the mask, we use the circuit playground to display different emotions with ranges of colors to match each emotion, and you switch them by using a button. And these are the 7 current prototype emotions. Happy, which is a sunset yellow, sad, which is a blue or dark blue, smug, which is a purple, confused, which is all pixels, lights are off, thinking is rainbows, which is like a buffering thing from like Netflix, Hulu, YouTube. Alarmed is a flashing red, and surprised is a bright yellow. And these are the prototypes. On the left is a skeleton of the mask that we've made, which the circuit playground is placed in the middle along with the battery, but is on the left side of your mask, but now it's instead inside of the mask along with the circuit playground. And on the right is what it will look like for the emotions to show in the mask.
So for coding and troubleshooting, when it came to coding, we wrote in C++. I know this is kind of boring for some of you, but stay with me now. Which is just one of the thousands of languages of codes out there, which is just compatible with our circuit playground. Coding for the Emotimask was quite hard to figure out at first because we had a very basic understanding of coding, and what our team ended up having to do is writing code and then rewriting code because we ran into a few problems with our button not working or it not switching emotions the way we wanted it to. or at one point it would display the same emotion more than once. So that was kind of some of our problems we faced. And this happens to be our video. Hi, this is the Emotimask. And with the Emotimask, it comes in a variety of 7 different colors. So the first one, obviously happy and smiles. The second, we have blue, frown. Next, we have no neopixels, which is confused. Then we have surprised. Flashing red means alarmed. Next, we have smug. And lastly, we have thinking.
Wow, that was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. I'm assuming this is the part where we can ask you questions. I think that's an incredibly creative design. I want one right now.
So we have exactly 4 minutes for questions.
Awesome. I think I saw Baden. He's wondering how comfortable is the mask to wear?
I would say it's pretty comfortable. It's made out of 100% cotton. So when it rests on your face, it doesn't feel like an itchy, scratchy mask. It feels more like just clothing on your face.
That's awesome. And then from Bianca, is there a barrier between the electronics and your face?
Yes, there is.
And I'm sure that adds to the comfortability of that. If you had more time and what more emotions do you think you would add to this? And maybe what would the color patterns be?
Add maybe, like, I think it would be a red as well, but like it would be like a huge frown. Yeah.
Awesome. I think Huang Nguyen, he's wondering what made you choose to write in C++ instead of Arduino? I'm not sure if there's confusion there. Do you mind explaining?
I'm not entirely sure how to answer this question entirely. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Arduino is in a weird space of like having similarities to a lot of languages, especially like C and C++.
I see. I was an ex mentor at Invention Bootcamp, and I remember we all use Arduino to code the program. So I'm just kind of surprised that you guys pick up C++ for this. And that's pretty cool, though.
Definitely. I see a question from Grace. Incredibly practical and important question. Is it washable?
Yes, it is washable. Just take out the circuit playground and the battery packet, and you're able to wash it.
So I actually have it here with me right here. So here it is. And if you turn it around for this is where your face would go, there's actually a little pocket between it where you can take everything out and you can wash it.
Yep.
Wow, that's really well thought out. Great design.
You have time for one more question.
See, I think James, he's wondering, maybe you can help us run through the different settings and emotions that they display.
There's one question from Rafika saying, are these lights and sensors safe to skin? Is it?
Sorry, I don't know if my audio is working.
Oh, okay. It said, Radhika, said, are these lights and sensors safe to skin?
Yeah, so yes, Eden. So I just wanted to see if we wear for a longer time, longer hours, are those safe for skin and mouth because you're keeping those very close to your mouth.
That's true.
Just to step in real quick because we did just run out of time. There's a huge community of electronic textile designers that use things similar to a circuit playground. So there's still a lot of development with it. We can't answer that question 100%, but at least with the barrier of the cloth, there is some protection from being directly exposed to the items. Um, let's give it up for Team Emotimask. Make your best bird sound. Switching it up. Let's hear some bird sounds right now. All right, now next up is Team ScanKnob. What's a ScanKnob? Tell us all about it. Team ScanKnob, where are you at?
Hi everyone. I'm for ScanKnob, and it was Bridget, Sai, and Ron. And Bridget, unfortunately, is not here to present with us, but
Oh, Bridget's here. Bridget's here.
oh, Bridget. Okay. Okay. Then we'll start with Sai.
All right, so for our persona, we have Maria. Now, Maria lives with her family in the suburbs. She loves making food and taking care of her family, but she goes shopping a lot. And therefore, when you go shopping a lot, you can touch a lot of potentially infected items at stores. And now she's scared of touching doorknobs because her family may touch them as well. And this could lead her family to getting COVID-19. Because of this, Maria wishes that she had some sort of way to open doors without actually having to touch them. Next slide. All right, so our idea. Our idea was to use the Circuit Playground's light sensor to create some sort of way to activate a door without actually having to touch it. Next slide. Okay, so the sensors and materials that we'll be using for our product that we're designing is the Adafruit Circuit Playground, which is the brains of the operation, the servo motor, a 9-gram servo motor, which is the muscle of the operation, alligator clips to connect the servo to the circuit playground, and cardboard to actually make the door and the frame of it. Next slide.
Okay, so this is the block diagram that we made. This is sort of like a loose image of how it works. So the code will start, and then we have the light sensor, which is turned on, and it's supposed to detect a certain value. And if the light value is greater than what it's supposed to be, it will assume that your hand is not blocking. It's not blocking the light sensor. And the hand, when the hand blocks it, it means you want to open it. So if the hand is blocking it, the light value will be lower. So that means the door will open when you block it. And then it waits a few seconds and then it will close. If you don't block it, then it will just run the loop until you do. Next slide.
Our project has 3 original designs. So our first design is simple. The circuit playground will be attached to the wall next to the door, and the servo will turn and the door will open. Our second design is a little bit different. It's the servo motor would act as a locking mechanism. So the servo motor would turn and it would unlock the door, and the door's natural position is open, so it would swing open. And our third design is like the first one, but the way it pushes the door open is a little bit different. Next slide.
Okay, so this is how it loosely works. So as you can see, it's on. And when you cover it, when you cover the light sensor with like your finger, then it will turn to its spot, and that's how the door is supposed to turn. And then what we had before is that if you press the right button, which you saw before, then it will turn back to its original position. But that isn't really practical because we're supposed to make it so that you don't have to touch anything. And if you have to touch something, then that goes against the complete purpose. So that's something we changed later on. Next slide. Okay, so the first prototype, here you can see the servo is hung right above the door with some pipe cleaner. And when it turns, you see that the door turns as well. And then we have the circuit playground just hanging right outside for the light sensor so that when you cover it, it'll open the door right in front of it. Next slide.
All right, so what's going on in this video? Okay, so basically I just covered the door. Wait, this is really laggy. Should I here, I'll give you a live demo of what's going on, okay? So basically right here, I covered the door and then the door opened with the servo that's on the bottom. Right here, you can see that. It opened and now it's closing. And basically right here, what we did, we put some aluminum foil so that the light would reflect a bit better into here because the circuit playground is set a bit back so that the door has space to open.
Actually, Sai, can you show it one more time because we're just seeing your screen now?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so basically what was going on, sorry, I have a battery pack. One second, I'll take that out. Okay, you know what, no. So how it works, oops. So right here, there's a door and then there's a light sensor. So when I cover the light sensor, it opens like that. Just like that, and then it waits for 5 seconds, which in the video I counted down, you can see. And then it closes. And then right here, how it works, there's a servo right here and there's just a paper clip that's pulling the door open like that. And the aluminum foil thing I was talking about is just right here. It's not very, yeah, okay. Basically, you can see that the light actually reflects a lot better in here, even with the camera right now, you can see that. All right, next slide. You can start screen sharing here.
Okay, and lastly are some of the challenges that we came across while doing this. Is at the start, we had a hard time coding because our original idea was to have like a color sensor, and we have a certain color like card, for example, like a red card, and then that card will sense, and then it'll open and turn the servo when it senses that color. But we didn't have enough time to keep on looking for that code because it was a bit hard to find. So we just decided to leave that idea and go with a much simpler light sensor. And at the start, I also had some servo problems with my servo. And that kind of stopped us from working as a group because I can't really test my code if my servo's not working. But later on, it got fixed, and then that wasn't an issue anymore. Next slide.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to our presentation. We are the Knob Nerds.
I'm Bridget.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Sai.
Great job,
Yeah,
guys.
so does anyone have questions?
I saw one question. Can we get the link to the video since it wasn't?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that.
Thank you. That was really awesome. I think you guys made some really great decisive decision making with the red and green cards, and instead opting for the light sensor. I really like the no touch, the contactless idea. I think that's super useful in the current times. I think we have a minute and a half for any additional questions. Here we have from Bianca. you guys had trouble with the color sensor and then switched to the light. Would you have any other sensors that could work well in this application?
Yeah, something else we could do. This is also kind of answering Mercedes' question for how we'd improve. Is we would use like a motion sensor so that if you wave your hand in front of it, it would open, or a proximity sensor. But we kind of wanted to make it quickly. But a proximity sensor or a motion sensor would both work. Both good ways to improve it. Yeah, that's it basically.
Awesome. And then did all three of you guys build prototypes, and how similar were they?
Yeah, all three of us built prototypes. I think Ron and I.
Your audio cut out.
Your audio cut out, Bridget.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties.
I can answer it if you guys are fine with that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so basically, yeah, all three of us made one. We went with size because it has like, you can see it much more clearly. You made a good video for it. Bridget's was the one you saw as well. And then mine was working at one point in time, but then I kind of, it kind of fell apart. So we didn't include it because it looked a little ugly compared to the nice looking ones. But yeah, so we did make them.
Awesome. I think we are out of time though, so Mike?
Yeah, actually, before we go to the next team, and before we do our audible praises, Kavi is going to share the video real quick. I need one of those. Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments. So smart. Ron Swanson would be proud. Very human-centered and accessible. So cool. Let's give it up for Team ScanKnob. Once again, let's hear these bird sounds. I want to hear more birds. Let's go.
Woo, good job! Yeah!
I got to think of another animal for the next one. All right, next group. Their team name has a phrase that you might be familiar with, and it is, the next group is Watch Out 6 Feet. I guess it has a number that you're familiar with. Watch Out 6 Feet. Let's hear it for Watch Out 6 Feet. Where you at?
Watch out.
Oh,
we are
yeah.
here. Right. So my name is Jonathan. I am the mentor for the Watch Out 6 Feet group. And as you know, what our name describe actually our item and our functionality at the same time. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to pass it to my team. Go for it. Hannah?
Might need to unmute yourself so we can hear you.
I think Hannah may have disconnected. I don't see her. Oh, there she is. She's reconnected.
Hello, Hannah. Are you connected?
Okay. Okay, so the name of the invention is Watch Out 6 Feet, and it's by Dustin, Elaine, Jonathan, and me. And the purpose is to help maintain social distancing, remind you if you happen to be too close to someone, convenience and peace of mind, knowing that you are social distancing correctly, and multi-purpose design. And our persona is Eric, and Eric enjoys the outdoors, but with the COVID-19 social distancing, it's important for Eric to protect himself. Eric feels that trying to pay attention to the distance between him and other people is bothersome and couldn't enjoy the outdoors as much as usual. Eric needs something that could remind him whether or not he's distancing himself correctly so that he doesn't need to pay too much attention to social distancing and could enjoy the outdoors better. And we have the first sketch and a visual concept of the watch.
And this here is a visual concept of a kind of like a charging port that we could put it onto, which comes into play in the next slide, which is our flowchart for how it works. So it would turn on, it would check to see if it was in the dock, and if it was, it would run a nightlight mode. And as soon as you took it off, it would start running a watch mode. So then you could put it on your watch and go out and enjoy your day. The watch mode works like it will turn on the device using a proximity sensor. It will detect the distance, and if that distance is under 6 feet, it will then notify a vibration motor, kind of like what's in your smartphone. And so it will go off to tell you that you're too close. And then when you put it onto the docking system, it will transfer to nightlight mode, which will then nightlight mode will activate and it will sense brightness. And if the room is bright, it will not turn on the nightlight. But if it's dark, it will turn it on. So it has dual functionality.
So the first step in the prototyping process was making the replicas of the motors and sensors. And then we started to create the watch module by making a circle cutout to fit the circuit playground. As you can see, we added a groove in the back of the circle cutout to fit the vibration meter. And here's where we assembled the watch module by adding the ultrasonic sensor and wristband. And here's what it looks like. We also made a nightlight docking system so that when the circuit playground rests on the nightlight docking system, it activates a nightlight mode and the lights turn on.
All right, is there any question?
I see one immediate question from Braden. It's very versatile. Other than vibrating on your wrist to warn you when you're too close to other people, does it have any other system to warn others that you're too close to?
It also lights up the neopixels like blinking to like alert you.
Awesome. I see from Grace, what inspired your invention to have dual purpose?
We kind of wanted it to just have something else so that, like, if it wasn't in use, it could do something else to help you.
It's very creative. I see from Rob, your prototypes seem very intricate. Did you have any troubles recreating them remotely?
So we wanted to like minimize like the use of wiring as much as we could. So we also like used conductive tape, and I think that helped a lot to like keep things organized and stuff.
We did have some trouble at some point just putting it together though, because it has to fit on your wrist.
Definitely. Maybe you guys can talk about other challenges you guys faced, and then how did you overcome these challenges?
I think one of our biggest challenges was coding, because it required a lot of different like parts to both have the nightlight and the watch function in the same thing. So we had help from Jonathan, our mentor, and it was just a long process of trial and error to try to get it to work. But I would say that was our biggest challenge.
It seems we're running out of time. I think we only have one more question. Maybe for James, the 6-foot guideline is intended to keep people from inhaling contaminated air. Did you consider using other sensors to determine if the air is stale?
I don't really think that that was an idea that we thought of. We just wanted to like make a system that alerts you if you're too close to another person or not.
All right. Well, thank you for your questions. Thank you for presenting. Let's give it up for team Watch Out 6 feet. Let's get, I want to hear everyone make their best like dog sounds or howl, like, you know, Eden suggested it. Let's hear Wait, I think that was an actual dog. Okay, so our last group, all right, just a little inside information. The last group was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have like the best presentation ever. So we gotta like really grill them. I want the toughest questions. I want like the utmost scrutiny. So let's go. This is SenTech. What you got?
Yeah, so no pressure, right? Well, my name is Madison. Hello, hello. I was the mentor for Team SenTech, and I am going to have our boy Andrew take it away here.
All right. Well then, hello everybody. We are SenTech. It is made up of an amazing team of 3 people: me, Mason, and Aiden. So, have you ever felt that the grocery store was way too crowded when you walk in? This puts a bunch of stress on you, does it not? The stress can contribute to your body's declination, which will make you feel worse physically and mentally. Well, Never ever feel this type of stress again with SenTech's Community Counter trademark. With Community Counter, a store will never be overcrowded and you can shop with peace of mind. Originally, we had 3 sketches and each one having their own great points. So when we decided to come up with a final design, we decided to compile all the best points from all 3 of the drawings into one final prototype, which is pictured there. It consists of 2 sensors and a circuit playground with a battery. I'm going to now send it over to Aiden to talk about the sensors.
Okay, so the most important part of our design was picking the appropriate sensor. So we had 3 different sensors that we tested between, and we decided on the PIR motion sensor because it was easy to set up and it was able to detect anyone who walked through the door. And now I'm going to talk about the code. So this is a brief overview of what our code does. The first thing the program does is it calculates the maximum number of people that can be in a space at any given time. After that, if a person enters the building, the count, which is the number of people that are in the building, will go up by 1, and if someone leaves the building, the count will go down by 1. After that, if the count is less than the maximum number of people allowed in a space, the display will turn green to let people know they can safely enter the store. If the count is greater than the maximum number of people, then the display will turn red. As an added bonus, when the display turns from red to green, it plays a short sound to let people know it's safe to enter the store. And this is just a brief snippet of our actual code. And now I'm going to hand it over to Mason.
Okay, so this is our product, the community counter, and in total, all the products add up to $26, so it's not too expensive to buy in store or build at home by yourself. Next slide. What we learned is how to implement sensors and technical designs, how to translate ideas into coding language, how to beast mode cardboard for prototypes, how to formulate solutions from real world problems. And how we can improve our design is wire management, easier installation, an upgrade from cardboard, human unpredictability, and going from domestic use to commercial use. And next we have a video showing how our product works.
Initially, the display is green. When the sensors detect a person, the display will turn yellow for 5 seconds. After a person enters the store and the display turns yellow, the display will change to red if it is unsafe for more people to enter the store. The display is yellow after people are exiting the store. Once a person can enter the store, the display will turn red.
Does anyone have any questions?
Wow, thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation. I see a question from Jerry, actually. He's really curious. So what kind of tips do you have for, quote, beast moding cardboard prototyping?
I don't know. It was just a given talent that we just have.
Fair enough, fair enough. I see a question from Rob. I know the distance sensor can be finicky. Did you have trouble with the reliability of the sensor detecting a person?
I guess what I would say to that is, if anything, the sensor picked up too much. So we had to like limit it down and make sure it was pointing the right way. Otherwise, it was picking up like way too much and getting the counter wrong. And also kind of going on with that, at the beginning, we had some trouble with like the timing of when people, when one sensor was triggered, making sure the other sensor didn't trigger it. And so we had to work on the timing of that to make sure it all worked out.
Yeah. So Bianca was wondering if we can see the video, and then Braden is suggesting that can we get the link in the chat so we can watch that? It was a little glitchy and the audio was cutting out a little bit. It looked awesome. I thought it was like a quality commercial. You know, I'm really tempted to buy one. And we have a question from Jules. Does this device automatically open the door?
It does not. Kind of like when we were designing it, we were picturing it for a grocery store, which already have those big automatic opening doors. So it's just meant to let people know when it's safe for them to enter the store.
Definitely. I know I've been to Target during this pandemic and I see people outside, you know, in the blistering heat and they're using those little counters. So maybe this could help somebody stay safe. A question from Mike. What was your favorite part in making your project?
I actually really enjoyed making the cardboard prototype. I just thought that was really fun to just be able to figure out how everything was gonna fit inside and still look nice. So.
Yeah. So I see Kavi, are you willing to play the video or? Awesome.
Unfortunately, I cannot unlock out of it. Sorry.
Not to worry. We can move on. What was your least favorite part in this project? Maybe your most challenging, most difficult obstacle when making this?
One challenge that we had was one of our prototypes actually fell apart, kind of. So that was a problem that we went through, but yeah. So that was my least favorite part
Definitely,
of the project.
it can be hard during that prototyping phase. We have a question from Teresa. How does the sensor determine the occupancy of a space?
So the way we did this was in the code, it took a variable that was the square footage of a given building. And then from the square footage, it would divide that by, I think it was 200, which gave people a circle around them of approximately, like with a radius of approximately 8 feet. And we did 8 feet instead of 6 just because everything's not perfect and people are not going to be spaced out perfectly. So just that room for error.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really great solution. Are there any more questions? This is the last presentation. If you have any more questions, please, now is the time.
Well, I thought that was well done. Lots of flame emojis. Let's give it up for Team SenTech. And because they mentioned beast mode, I want everyone to make sounds like a dinosaur. However you interpret that. Let's go. Your, your roommates and neighbors are probably like, what's going on in there? Oh, that was a good dinosaur. That scared me a little bit. Okay, and you know what? Let's give another round of applause for every single team. Just think about it. We are like in different oh, that's my alarm again. We're so far from one another, but we're still coming together and building things. That is amazing. And actually, Tyler's in a whole different like time code, time zone. So like think about how amazing that is. So yeah, anyway, I should pass it off to Gerry again. Jerry's gonna make another appearance to give some recognition and thanks. So let's hear it from Gerry. Gerry, are you there?
I'm pretty sure I am. Can you hear me? Great. Well, thank you everyone for such an amazing amount of effort. And just a reminder, this represents roughly 2 weeks of effort. We spent 2 weeks learning skills. We spent 2 weeks figuring out what would be important to us, and then like just amazing sprint to the finish. And one of the key ingredients in this sprint is the mentors. So I just wanted to recognize the mentors here and give them some props, because they're the secret sauce. Without mentors, this whole camp wouldn't really, we'd be just spinning our wheels. So I'm going to make a few comments about individual mentors, but you should know that what's true of individuals is mostly true of all of them. Willingness to work on projects, that's the key here. So you sign up, I recruited mentors, and it's like, well, what are we going to do? It's like, well, we're going to wait and figure out what the students want us to do. So being able to leap into this with a certain amount of confidence, but also a willingness to learn was just amazing. The mentors themselves are great at seeking and giving mutual support. They had excellent rapport with the students, both as technical guides and sort of like human coaches, encourage them to get over those frustrating moments when the prototype didn't work or the code just refused to combine with the other pieces of code. And really, above all, this was a hugely supportive and wonderful community that was really fun to be with. So just to mention them, just a little pieces, I'd like you to get to know them a little bit. Braden Harwood is a returning mentor. We asked him to come back specifically for tech support. He's unflappable. The first week of camp was a bit hairy, shall we say, with people dropping out of meetings, Chromebooks not connecting, just trying to get started. And Braden really solved a whole bunch of problems. Stephanie has this very quiet, calm demeanor, unassuming, and she just gets stuff done with no drama. You just like go, oh, wow, yeah, cool. Jonathan is similar to Stephanie, quiet and full of lots of great ideas, getting things done without drama, can-do attitude, always showing us some new technical tricks. Just the other day, he was turning us on to OBS, which is a video merging software. Madison Whitlow. Madison, for all the high-tech sensors that her group had, is a environmental engineer and just total fearlessness of jumping into complex projects. Her team had the most sensors to integrate. Mercedes, working with Emotimask, a technical, very skilled person with electrical engineering background, and also a great sense of the non-technical and the personal. The beginning of the camp, I think would be fair to say, was a little stiff because, well, I was the person who did most of the talking, and Mercedes really broke the ice with some jokes, and that really helped us have some fun. Mike, who is our MC, also a great jokester, being able to tell dinosaur jokes like spontaneously. He's a returning mentor, and we had him come back because last year he did such a great job with visual storytelling, which is really quite difficult to do when we're all in these little boxes and not standing next to each other. Noemi is the Pomodoro advisor. Man, talk about dealing with complex code. I'm flattered sometimes when people say, "Could you help us?" because they think that I actually can help. So my jaw was on the table looking at what they were doing and how Noemi helped that team really get over some nasty bugs. Sydney, the indicator mentor, what enthusiasm and energy, electrical engineering student, always willing to volunteer. She really enjoys coding. She and I had some weekend coding expeditions, getting buttons to work, and she's an emerging Mario Kart monster, I guess. I don't know, I can't keep up. Tyler, as you just saw, can manage questions. He was always great at asking questions and also focusing on the mechanical and sensors, really putting those pieces together in a wonderful way. And we have Whitman. Whitman really loves to code. I believe he's getting a minor in computer science. And he has, I think, a little fame for a certain social media post that it showed how he used the accelerometer. And like many other mentors, Whitman is particularly able to pull away. So as much as he loves code and technology, ask the big questions. Like, how is this helping people? Are we just doing this because it's fun and we're playing with our toys? Or are we really solving problems? And again, let me reiterate, everything I've said about individual mentors really applies to all of them. It's been a real joy and an honor to get to know these folks and have them really just do the work. You know, I can set the curriculum, but everything happened because the mentors did that. And I can't skip another person who is Kavi Diaz, who did incredible amounts of work. She managed 1,001 tasks, details, budgets, logistics, speakers. I would find out that problems were solved before I knew that the problems existed. And Kavi just made some things happen. I just want to be very, very grateful for that. She also has some experience in K-12 teaching, which reminds us of some of the educational ideas and the reason why we're here, and how to reach people who are at a different place right now, and learning how to incorporate all the things that we sort of take for granted, like coding and sensors and electronics. And she's also been a great collaborator and a friend over the last couple of years as we've gone through a couple iterations of Invention Bootcamp, and this iteration just blew them all away. So thank you, Kavi, and it's been great to work with you.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for Kavi and the mentors and Kavi. Kavi, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you,
Kavi even looked
Kavi.
out for me with other jobs. Kavi. Let's see if this works. Kavi. Awesome. I think that's going to conclude the. Oh wait, I got the signal.
I've got thanks to give.
Oh, right. There we go. Yeah, Kavi's got some thanks to give. Let's hear it from Kavi. Sorry about that.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure and a joy to work with the camp this year. And I just want to extend my thanks again to our incredible team. And I also wanted to point to people behind the scenes that we really want to express our thanks and gratitude to, who made all these special contributions behind the scenes to make the camp a big success this year. We're very fortunate to be able to have Dr. Jim Hook, Associate Dean of the Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science, championing this program, Invention Bootcamp, and others at PSU, as well as throughout the state of Oregon, in support of increasing opportunities for equitable invention education, computer science, and STEM access for students traditionally underrepresented in those fields. Thank you so much, Jim, for your tireless efforts. Yay. I'd also really love to thank Tong Zhang, Kelly Cousineau, Rob Turk, Tamara Depew, Bianca Chacamp, and the entire Oregon Mesa team for your huge lift in recruiting all of the students for Invention Bootcamp. All the students that are here today are thanks to their months-long campaigning efforts and just tireless work in promoting the camp and getting the word out there to the students. All the students here, let's give a big thanks to Oregon Mesa. Thank you. I also want to give a very big heartfelt thank you to Rachel Burnett, Cindy Cooper, Pam Call, Rob Schneider, and the entire Lemelson Foundation for supporting Invention Bootcamp from its beginnings in 2015. They've been behind us this entire time, and they stuck by and encouraged this unique experiment this year of offering a virtual camp for the first time. And we're all here today thanks to their support and enthusiasm for spreading invention education throughout Oregon and beyond. Thank you so much to the Lemelson Foundation. I'm going to give a big thanks for that. Thank you so much. And I also want to give a big thank you to Jessica Augustus and the Pacific Power Foundation for co-sponsoring this year's camp and providing supplies for all the campers, which they use this year, like their circuit playgrounds. Thank you so much. Thank you to Pacific Power Foundation. And there's so many people behind the scenes at PSU. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to those who have worked so hard on the tiny little details and the big details. Thanks to Helen Frey, who is just the trooper who keeps us all going and makes it all possible. Joyce Pieretti, Abby Croman, Kristen Norquist, Carol Perales, and Dean Corsi, Brandy Cobb, thank you. I also want to thank our guest speakers. Some of them are here today, for inspiring our campers to be better people tomorrow. Thank you so much, Evan Green, Ativa Gaines, Grace Andrews, Alex Grant, Abby Croman, and Bianca Chacamp. Woo woo. And a very big thank you also, of course, to our wonderful mentors for making the camp so special and being really the heart of this camp, and so enthusiastic, meeting every challenge in this online format head on and with a lot of joy and laughs. To Stephanie, Jonathan, Madison, Mercedes, Mike, Noemi, Sydney, Tyler, Whitman, Braden, and Mike. Amazing job, thank you. Yay. And to all the parents, thank you so much for welcoming us into your homes. Thanks, for supporting your camper throughout this experience. I also want to thank all of the campers this year, 2020 camp, for showing up ready to learn every day, for all your hard work, for sticking with all the challenges that we've had coming through it, staying positive, being fun, and becoming our friends throughout the process. We're so incredibly proud of you and all your accomplishments. I won't say too much because I'll choke up, but thank you and congratulations. Yay. And finally, I want to give a huge thanks and recognition to Dr. Gerry Recktenwald. He's our fearless leader. So many years now, since 2018, and he works countless long days and months on months preparing for this new online format. Gerry adapted the entire camp curriculum for an online medium that would allow all the students to be successful working and building in a remote setting, which is really challenging. He had to anticipate so many things ahead of time and plan ahead. He worked extra hard to bring as many elements of the in-person camp as possible to this online experience. He also happens to be a great guy, and we can't thank him enough for his indefatigable efforts and heavy lift in making this year's camp a huge success. Thank you, Gerry. Let's hear it, everybody, for Gerry.
Thank you, Gerry.
Thank you, Gerry.
Gerry. We hope you've all enjoyed Invention Bootcamp finale. And some members of our team and staff are going to stick around if you want to, if you have questions or comments or just want to share the love today, we are here for it. So thanks again for joining us. Yay, thank you. And I want to say congrats to all of our students.
Very well done. We'll stick around if you want to ask questions. We don't know quite how that will happen, but yeah, thank you to everyone. And thank you for trusting us. Thank you for inviting us into your homes with promises of things that won't break or will make you invent things.
Thank you, everyone. We'll stick around if anyone has any questions or wants to chat.